WikiLeaks, the internet and free speech. Since releasing controversial U.S. diplomatic cables, the whistleblowing website has found itself dropped by popular domain name systems and under threat from the Australian and American governments. This sparking a new debate about freedom of speech online. Who controls the flow of information on the internet? Who sets the rules and under what terms? Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Fuli Batibo. WikiLeaks and its founder Julian Assange continue to be under fire. About a week ago, Assange turned himself to British authorities. He is wanted in Sweden for a sex crimes investigation. Meanwhile, Australia and the US are considering legal action against Assange and his website that has released several confidential US diplomatic cables, making it more difficult to function. The site can no longer be accessed via the popular domain name wikileaks.com. In addition, Visa, MasterCard and PayPal have blocked donations to the site. Assange has labeled these companies instruments of US foreign policy. WikiLeaks supporters call for hacking the sites of such companies. They tried organizing the attacks with the help of Facebook, which promptly took down the page. Facebook says it violates the terms of service, which prohibit material inciting illegal acts. But they haven't removed WikiLeaks' own Facebook pages, which brings us to the issue of policing online content. Well, to discuss this, joining us from London are Barry Fox, Internet Security and Technology Analyst, and from Oxford, Professor Bill Dutton, Director of the Oxford Internet Institute and Professor of Internet Studies at Oxford University. Thank you both for talking to us, gentlemen. Do you think that free speech can be protected on a private sphere like the Internet?
Well, I think, first of all, I think you have to separate two issues. One is security of information, and I think there was a security breach within the U.S. government. A young intelligence analyst leaked these files. WikiLeaks did not release these files. So when WikiLeaks had possession of these files, as did the press and WikiLeaks did what they could to redact some files, and actually WikiLeaks involved the press, I think, because they wanted help and support in going through these files, redacting some files, and making them available to the public. So I think WikiLeaks basically performed a press function, not a breach of security.
So not a breach of security, you say. Barry Fox, who exactly is it then, that's defending freedom of speech on the internet when you see WikiLeaks being dropped by the main domain sites, being dropped by Visa, MasterCards? Who defends free speech on the internet?
Well, the internet is about free speech. The internet is virtually unpoliceable because it is a global. It's a global phenomenon. It's a global publication, and you have never had world law, a single law which applies to all countries, especially when it's going. A lot of the communication is going up and out into space by satellites. So you can't. In the long run, you can't police the internet unless you happen to be running a state which is a repressive state.
But there are certain rules out there. There are certain rules out there. Who sets these rules? Who decides what's allowed and what's not allowed?
Well, they're commercial rules. I mean, if you talk in country state, well, then China sets the rules for what it wants done in China, and Thailand as well at the moment, and Malaysia. They set the rules for what goes on inside those countries, and they block sites. If you're talking the global situation, there are no rules that are enforceable in any court of law, because you don't have a court of law which covers the whole of the globe. What the rules are, commercial rules, and that's what we're seeing now with some of the companies, the giant companies like Amazon, PayPal, saying no, we won't help WikiLeaks. That is a commercial pressure. It's a commercial
But don't
law.
you think there might have been some political pressure as well?
Oh, I'm sure there is. Behind the scenes, I'm sure there's an immense amount of political pressure because, as Professor Dutton was saying, really, if you want to find a culprit here, the culprit is the US government lacks security.
Certainly, it seems that most of the witch hunt, anyway, globally has been directed towards WikiLeaks and not necessarily the newspapers that publish the information as well, such as The Guardian or The New York Times. But what I want to come back to the issue of free speech. And the United States in the past has praised the internet as a tool for making governments more accountable. Earlier this year, when the Chinese authorities were allegedly carrying out cyber attacks to control online content, the U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton condemned the move. Then she spoke strongly in favor of promoting internet freedom. Let's take a listen.
Countries that restrict free access to information or violate the basic rights of internet users risk walling themselves off from the progress of the next century.
Now that the U.S. is under the spotlight, however, there seems to be a change of tone.
The United States strongly condemns the illegal disclosure of classified information. It puts people's lives in danger, threatens our national security, and undermines our efforts to work with other countries to solve shared problems.
Barry Fox in London. So on the one hand, the U.S. is promoting internet freedom, but they don't like it when their classified information is posted online for everyone to see. Should a different rule apply to democracies on the internet in terms of protecting their national interests, do you think?
Well, I mean, the Freedom of Information Act, people wanted that act, and then they decided, well, perhaps we don't want it because information about me, a politician, has been released. I mean, these things are all two-edged swords. And again, we have to bear in mind, it was America, it was the USA, and Al Gore and President Clinton who opened up the internet. I mean, let's just remind ourselves where the internet came from. It was a military tool. It was a communications network designed to withstand nuclear attack, so that if you dropped a bomb on one part of the communications system, the signals would end up going round the world through the back door. That was a military, and then it became an educational establishment tool, and it was, as I say, Clinton and Gore who opened it up for the superhighway as a communications tool. Well, I say we are seeing the first signs of what cyber war will be like, because it isn't just going to be waged by one country against another. It will be individuals can wage cyber war, and we've been seeing this with the way that individuals have been getting together, downloading the software that is needed for what's called a denial of service attack. And a denial of service attack is where you, me, and several tens of thousands of other people all flood a website with requests for information at the same time. And we bring that site, at least temporarily, to its knees because it's flooded, it can't cope.